She skillfully sneaked into the bathroom late at night to answer her husband's check-in video call, but after just a few words, her face changed dramatically, and she hurriedly hung up. Her black colleague then casually walked in. Unsure if her husband saw this, she immediately asked her colleague to drive her back. On the way, her husband kept calling, but Amy, afraid of being exposed, rejected all the calls. This decision would haunt her forever. Later, they stopped at a gas station, and Amy went into the convenience store to buy coffee. At the checkout, she found no cashier on duty. Helpless, she left money on the counter and was about to leave when she noticed blood splattered on the shelves. Realizing something was wrong, she quickened her pace, started. Seeing the blood on her hands, she hadn't yet realized who wanted to kill her. Suddenly, a bullet pierced the glass, nearly taking her life. Amy then realized this wasn't an accident. Someone was determined to kill her. She hid behind a shelf and shouted to her colleague outside for help. But he was in the car listening to music, unaware of the danger. With no other choice, she decided to save herself. She tore a piece of clothing to bandage her wound. After tending to it, she peeked outside again, almost getting shot in the head. Terrified, she crawled to get her phone to call the police, but a bullet shattered her. Oh, as she lay on the ground, unsure of what to do, a man's voice came from the radio, and she clung to it like a lifeline. She discovered the voice was from a walkie-talkie, but the 1 meter distance without cover made her hesitate. To distract the killer, she threw 2 bags of chips from the shelf, successfully diverting attention. Amy quickly grabbed the walkie-talkie and asked for help to call the police. Before she could explain the situation, interference cut off the communication. Unexpectedly, her colleague walked into the store but was quickly killed. Devastated, she gathered her strength to retrieve the walkie-talkie, her last hope. Using a can, she knocked over a mop and used it to hook the walkie-talkie, finally re-establishing contact. The person on the other end expressed sympathy and said they had called the police, advising Amy to stay put. The person casually asked about the black man, which startled Amy into dropping the walkie-talkie. She never expected the person to be the killer. With no hope of police help, she noticed the light switch. She knew that turning off the invisible to the killer, allowing her to escape in the dark. But as she reached out, the killer fired, nearly disabling her right hand. Desperate, she thought of a new plan. If she couldn't reach the switch, she could throw something at it. After several failed attempts, she pushed a shelf in frustration, discovering it could move. She quickly unlocked the wheels and used it as cover to inch toward the switch. The killer began shooting wildly but couldn't stop Amy from turning off the power. The store plunged into darkness, and the killer stopped firing. Amy then noticed the radio's power source and realized the body had been dead for hours. She applied glue to her wound, pressing it shut, and swallowed painkillers. Afterward, she saw her colleague's car keys, feeling a glimmer of hope. Crawling over, she took the keys and pressed the button. But the noise alerted the killer. Realizing she planned to escape by car, the killer fired 3 shots at the hood as a warning. Seeing the car riddled with holes, Amy felt despair. Just then, a car pulled into the gas station. She quickly broke off a shelf piece, taping it to a metal rod to observe outside. A man entered the store, and Amy became wary, fearing he was the killer. She questioned his identity, learning he was a friend of the store clerk who had been killed. Despite the situation, Amy remained calm, asking him to call the police. But his phone was in the car, and he needed to retrieve it. Amy noticed something was off. Since the man entered, there were no gunshots. As the man moved closer, Amy grabbed an axe for protection. The man explained his brother was a delivery driver, and his wife was the cashier. Amy pointed out that the killer claimed the cashier was his wife, and he killed her because she left him. The man seemed confused, and Amy didn't believe him unless he called the police. But the phone was in the car. Amy suggested using a flashlight to distract the killer, allowing the man to safely. With no other choice, they cautiously approached the car door. Amy heard gunfire and realized something. She turned off the flashlight and collapsed, seeing an umbrella across the way. A bold idea struck her, and she grabbed the umbrella, crawling behind a shelf and opening it as a shield. Seeing the killer hadn't noticed her, she quickly blocked the aisles with umbrellas and began moving quietly. Unexpectedly, the killer fired again, spraying bullets into the store. Amy hid in the storeroom and found the back door locked, unable to break it with a fire extinguisher. Her only option was to dash out the front. After resting for half an hour, she cautiously opened the car door to escape. As she peeked out, a bullet shattered the car window, and bullets rained down. Terrified, she fled back into the store. But a bullet hit her thigh. Soon, she lost consciousness until the killer's voice on the walkie-talkie woke her. She crawled to the counter, poured disinfectant on her leg, wrapped it in gauze, and taped it tightly. Unable to break through the front, she
found a saw on the shelf and returned to the back door to cut the lock. Exhausted,
She grabbed the walkie-talkie and cursed the killer. As they argued, headlights appeared outside. Someone had come to refuel. Amy dragged herself to the door, warning the elderly man to leave and call the police. Before he could react, he was shot, followed by an elderly woman. The man tried to check on his wife but was shot again. Heartbroken, Amy was on the verge of collapse, determined to face death. She walked out of the store, calling the killer a coward hiding in the dark. The killer hesitated, not shooting, and surprisingly, there was a child in the car. Amy signaled the child to hide. To save the girl, Amy wrote a note on tissue paper, but the girl was already shaking her grandmother's body. Too young to understand death, the girl hid. In the car after seeing the girl safe, Amy began negotiating with the killer to spare her. The killer agreed, but the dark road made him hesitate. Suddenly, he turned toward Amy. The killer stood up, ready to confront them. Amy pushed a shelf to block the door, grabbed the girl, and ran to the back door, picking up the saw. As the killer approached, Amy miraculously cut the lock and pulled the girl inside. But with the power out, the shutter door wouldn't open. In desperation, she hid the girl under the stairs and blocked her with a cart. She took parts from a machine and inserted them into a pipe, creating a weapon. The killer leisurely entered the store, unable to find them. Suddenly, Amy attacked him with a heavy blow, then tried to hit him with a fire extinguisher. But the killer wasn't easy prey. He pushed her down and grabbed her neck, ready to finish her. Unexpectedly, she grabbed a weapon. 2 gunshots later, she collapsed. The killer entered the storeroom, finding the girl. As he reached for his mask, Amy appeared behind him, knocking him down and activating a hydraulic press. She dragged him under the machine, wanting to see his face, but the killer awoke, grabbing Amy to hide his identity. As they struggled, the machine slowly descended, crushing the killer's head. Exhausted, Amy collapsed, seeing the unharmed girl, though she never saw the killer's face. He chose death over exposure.